So the portfolio update, I'm doing it Sunday night. I actually started it yesterday, Saturday night, but then I found out Trump got shot, and I was completely in a different state of mind. It's not that I'm emotionally tied to him. I wanted to learn as much as I could, and the whole thing was just outrageous. I mean, it's like the Kennedy of our times, except he survived, and the whole thing was just so many strange facts. How does a lone gunman, if it was a lone gunman, it looks like it was, but how do they get 150 meters from the president on a white building, like adjacent in an obvious area? I mean, normally Secret Service go to these areas and you know, just 3 weeks before and just spot every area, clear every single area. And it's just outrageous that that was allowed to happen. Plus, you have all the eyewitnesses. Anyway, I think you guys know all the facts just as well as I do. And Trump basically got away with it just by turning his head. He saved himself. He got down on his own behind the bulletproof podium, and I don't know. It's just absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. I wonder how the markets will take it. Will they take it? Does gold go up because Trump? So it doesn't really make sense to me. For me, if the markets do react to it, and I'll find out in half an hour maybe, but if Trump gets in, I mean, the deficits and all that stuff will kind of stay as it is. I don't see any change in even monetary policy, not really. You'll change the Fed. I mean, Powell will go out and he can technically say that he held the ship together. Inflation was somewhat subdued. He brought it down to 3% or whatever. But I mean, inflation's going to resume. Deficits will continue. The one thing is the war will stop, I reckon. The Ukraine war, even the Middle East war, and that usually would send gold down, right? So I wonder how many people have thought about that. The war ends because Trump's in, therefore you get a $50 drop in gold, maybe $100. Is that possible? Peace treaty? I don't know. Is that what we're expecting in half an hour? I think it might not move the markets. It shouldn't really move the markets, but I think it's for sure that Trump will get in as long as he doesn't get killed, because that's the only way they have left, right? They tried to humiliate, bankrupt, jail him, and now they're just outright trying to kill him. I mean, they're gonna say this is a lone gunman, but he was probably encouraged. He was probably on their radar. The usual stuff. It's getting pretty boring. And Secret Service protection. What a surprise it wasn't good. Was there a mole in there? All those eyewitnesses saying that they saw the shooter, they reported it minutes before, but it got lost in the chain of command. Was it the second tier law enforcement? Was it just, it's always the same two things, isn't it? It was either extreme negligence or a conspiracy. It's always the same thing. And they always get away with it. If it was a conspiracy, it's always, oh yeah, intelligence failure. We'll learn from our mistakes. Better luck next time. All right, let's look at the markets, guys. Sorry about that. That little introduction. I'll try and edit it out or at least timestamp it. For those of you who absolutely don't care about politics, and fair enough. So, gold, we did have an amazing week. So, Thursday was the big day. We went all the way up to this little level here, above 2,400. That's beautiful. Look at that. Remember that move up and then instantly back down on that Monday? That was a bit of an anticlimax. Back up we go, some hesitancy, and then bam, that Thursday up we go. Friday was a good day. I know it was a red day, kind of unchanged day, but we retested this resistance, this 2390 resistance. We retested it, closed at higher day. We do look set for a move back up next week. Well, next week now, immediately, Monday. And will the Trump thing be a bit of a catalyst and send us to 2450? It really is possible. But we're probably going to go there regardless, actually. So it's a very good week. We closed near high of week also. Look at that weekly candle, looks beautiful on gold. So it's really, really nice week, actually, especially when we had that big drop at the beginning. Silver, however, I don't mind this. I've always said metals down, miners sideways, or miners even up, if it's possible, is the best combination. Silver underperformed massively. That was a bit of a strange one, but I still welcome it because we know that miners did quite well. So I think silver's looking for that extra confirmation from gold. So if gold can get to 2450, I think we can expect to see silver closing above 3150. And that means silver is just one big day away from gold. So let's look for that to happen. Let's look at the miners straight away. So look at this. You can see the miners are outperforming, right? Miners have already taken out their high. So they're already at their 2450 gold respective level. And not only that, we've had some really nice candles. And we've had this retest, just as gold sort of retested its 2390, we had this retest basically at the open of this 47 level on GDXJ. And it's all kind of the same thing across the mine ETFs. And then we made a new high, and we closed kind of in the middle. But remember what silver did. That's pretty good for GDXJ. Let's look at SILJ. SILJ is definitely outperforming silver, right? It's as if silver's back at its old 30, what is it, 32 or something. But I forgot actually. Yeah, 3250. So that's where silver is. And SILJ is all the way up there, touched it. And it's the best close it's had. Well, almost. So come next week, come Monday, if we start to venture any higher, we're instantly making new highs. We were almost there anyway. And just to close above 13 would do it, but it'll probably close above. So SILJ, GDXJ, absolutely the same thing. GDXJ just inching a little higher, but fair enough. It's because silver was down quite a bit. Otherwise, SILJ would probably be outperforming everything. GDXJ is outperforming everything at the moment, though. And that's quite nice to see the seniors leading the way. It's kind of what we've seen so far. And all those juniors that I got rid of ages ago. I've never really been heavy in juniors, but I really did liquidate the last juniors a few months ago. But by then, I'd only had one or two left. Discovery Silver was the last one. And I actually wanted to keep it. I was just forced out of it because of a transfer I wanted to do. But all these little silvers, I really don't pay attention. You can see them here on the side. And I've deleted quite a few. I just don't care. I'm only into these seniors, royalties, and basically everything else I own or I'm covering here. The Goldfields, Kinross, Eldorado, Novagold, Harmony, Anglogold. Those are basically the only other miners, besides one or two over here, that I'm interested in. The others are just there because I used to follow them, some more than others, but I just don't care. And to be honest, when I look at their charts, I'm not going to start looking at their charts down, but just horrible. The seniors, the medium, the silvers, they've done good, but all these juniors are just horrible charts, and I'm so happy I'm not in them. But seniors continue to lead the way, it appears. Obviously, Newmont and everything. Why not actually segue into my miners? So Newmont, look at that. Outperforming GDX. Definitely, I've been saying, especially ever since this day here on good news, good earnings, and it held the line here. It was outperforming. It was obviously going to make new highs. It did, and then it really did. And look at this, a new high, new good close. Next step for Newmont is, you'd say 50. 50. Big round number. I mean, you can say 49 is a bit of a pit stop, but why not 50? And to be honest, 50 is just, and then you got 52.9, kind of just below 53. And then you got 55. I might as well add that in because that is actually going to be a level on the way up. And I think we might get there quite quickly. So it's time to add that in. But these are just small little levels on the way up to the big 86. So a long way to go, but definitely the right attitude, outperforming. Very nice. I'm not looking at support because I'm honestly not really thinking about support at the moment, but it would be these old horizontal lines naturally, right? Prior resistance becomes support. There's no real ascending. This one's too steep, so there's no point in doing this, but actually maybe there's a bit of one here. Let's see, does this actually work? I'll leave it in, but you know what I mean? It's not going to happen. I really don't see it happening. And we might even have a bit of a pop on Monday. So 50 is the target for Newmont Barrick Gold. And it's exactly what Barrick needed. A massive bullish engulfing candle. And I like it because it opens below yesterday's low of day, yesterday being Thursday, of course. And then it closes just at the high of day, way beyond anything for ages. Next stop is 19. By the way, when we hit 19, we are testing the descending, a long-term descending. So expect a hit, maybe a bit of sideways. It'd be good if it goes sideways if the miners are down on that day. And then bam, 20, you have to respect the next horizontal after the descending breakout. I describe that a lot. My favorite is the descending breakout, but you've always got to respect that little next horizontal And when you close above that, plus it's a psychological number like 20, bam, now you go all the way up to whatever the next one is, probably 26. Now it's not going to do it in one day, but you know what I mean. Higher highs, higher lows on the way to 26. So Barrick Gold looks really good for once. It hasn't looked good for a while. It's underperformed, but this is starting to look really beautiful, and I'm happy because I'm quite heavy in that one. Agnico, it's not a bullish engulfing candle, but it's a bloody nice one. New highs, close the high of day, outperforming GDX. Next stop is this 76 point something. It's probably a bit higher actually. 76 point, whatever, 5. I think we'll get there. Don't think I'm going to be trimming, but this is something. I'm so heavy in miners. I do feel uncomfortable, although I'm quite convinced we're going to go higher. It it's really it's starting to be a bit unnerving. Like I wouldn't mind having this much in after a massive drop, but on this kind of a chart, I'm just looking at Agnico-Eagle, but we know the chart kind of looks similar across the board. It's it's not vertical up, but it's pretty nice and steep. And yes, we dropped a bit, but we're at new high. I need to trim. So I'm looking for the next level. And this is across the board. I'm looking at the next level and I'm going to do some trims across the board because normally I have like, I might as well tell you, who cares? Normally I have like 50 to 60K in miners when things are going bad, just sort of, that's the minimum. 70 to 80 is like the heaviest I've ever had. And now it's between 90 and 100. And it's just way too much. And I've made a strategic decision to just trim some, but I'm going to do it on technical levels. So Agnico-Eagle, and same applies for the others, the levels I've looked at. But Agnico-Eagle, when I get to 76.50, time to trim. And usually when I trim, it's like 2.5, 3%. Sounds small, but I'm always trimming it at the next levels, and they're always quite nearby. But here I'm thinking between 5 and 10% for sure. And it depends on the stock. Anyway, Agnico, I'm looking at 76.5, let's say, so probably 76.49. That should be easy to get to. Pan American Silver. Now this follows silver, but look how it's outperforming silver and SILJ, even though it's not a SILJ, it's not a junior, it's probably following SIL. Actually, I never follow SIL, but anyway, it's doing very well. It touched the last high from Thursday. That's fair enough. 24 is resistance. I'm sure we're going to take that out on the next move up. Then it's 26. Very clear to me, right? Look at this resistance here. Support there, support there. Nice round number. Why not? And the next resistance after that, you could say 29, but I'm going to say 30. Big round number. And I think it will get there like a magnet. But for this to happen, you need silver breaking out. And if silver breaks out, this will happen easily. If silver's taken out 32.50 and it's going towards 33, 34, Pan America is just going to scream up there. It doesn't matter how vertical it looks. It's the law of the land. SSRM, I was saying, SSRM is special. It works on its own dynamics. It's all about its own, its mine collapse. Yes, it does follow the price a little bit, but you don't recognize this chart, and that's because obviously it's had very bad news. But you don't even recognize this part really. However, it does have its own technicals, and I respect that. This descending, we're touching it. I did suggest, and here I'm not as sure as a normal chart because again, SSRM is a bit special, but I feel like you close above it, and what a coincidence that we broke out of it. I wonder how accurate mine is. I might be off, but I don't think I'm that off. We broke out of it, we closed just below it. So maybe it's looking for that next week confirmation, which I think we might get. So if we do go up and close above this 520, I prefer 520 to be extra short. In fact, above the high of yesterday, Friday, above 523, and then you can catapult basically to 6 or just below 6. So that's the move I'm looking for in SSRM, a move from essentially where it is now to $6. So let's see if that's possible. And then it looks good. Then, I mean, it already looks okay. But once you clear $6, if you close above $6, then I don't want to say the sky's the limit, but 859, all that stuff should be possible. Okay, Wheaton, beautiful close, highest close ever. Made a new high compared to Thursday. Very nice. It looks like a few of the other charts. Now, this is in new all-time record high territory, so there's no obvious resistance. I've got this ascending resistance, right? I have to go back a lot. Let's do a monthly chart. Why not? Just so it's a bit more clear. I just feel like there you go, 62. So here I'm going to be trimming because again, they're all worth too much, Wheaton included, because it's just made new highs. Just a small trim there at 61.99. I'm sure it's going to go right through 62, but just a little. This one's not going to be 10%. It's probably going to be like 2-3% because it's not worth as much as the seniors up here that really need to be trimmed. But Wheaton, new high is beautiful. Obviously, if we're going to go higher in metals, this will just go up anyway. So 62 is where I'm looking. Let's look at Franco Nevada. That's nice. That's just what it needed. It's a bit like Barrick Gold. It's a beast, but it technically hasn't really gone up as much as it should. Now, this is exactly what we need. 130, a close above 130. But this candle is beautiful. It took out Thursday, opened way above it, closed above it, closed at high of day. 30 should be next. And after 30, honestly, 140. I'd probably say 137 something, but whatever, I'm going to go for 140. I think if we're going up here, there's probably a breakout in the metals, and I don't think I should be in a hurry to trim Franco Nevada a few dollars below, because ultimately it's going to go make new highs. That's what I really believe. So Franco Nevada looks absolutely wonderful. Metalla finally starting to look okay. Now, it wasn't a green day, but it's constructive stuff in the candles. I'm looking for 340. Now, I may have to move this down, given that it might take 1 or 2 days, maybe 335. But again, another one that's ready to take out is descending. Not yet. And remember, once it takes out the descending, it's all about the next horizontal. And in Metalla, it's especially the case because this is strong resistance here, this 350. It's even a psychological number. Every time we get there, we go below. Even here, we closed like 351. That's a nice fake out, but 350 is important. So once we take this out, which is probably more significant, let's just make sure you close above 350 before you get excited about a run to 4. First Majestic, weak. We know where the other stocks are. Some of them are like seniors, royalties, some of them silver, but this is really underperforming. And honestly, Thursday, Friday, they weren't impressive. Yes, it's gone up, but it really needs a massive engulfing day for anyone to get excited. The resistance probably still around this 666. Maybe I can, Thursday's high now, actually, 680. After that, 7, which makes sense. And after that, this descending, which will probably coincide with around 7, probably 750 by the time it gets there, if it gets there soon, that is. And then it's got a lot of resistance. Then the horizontals after that, a lot of resistance. But even where it was now, it didn't face too much resistance on the way up. I mean, it shouldn't have, but it did. So the idea of it venturing all the way up here, I just feel like it would take so much effort. It would probably require new highs in, definitely in gold and silver cracking 3250 for sure. But then who knows? Maybe then all of a sudden, was it dilution? It just won't matter. It's just like a sympathy play for silver. Up you go. First Majestic is a go-to name for silver. I'm hoping that's the case. Otherwise, I may have to trim more than I initially expected for First Majestic because I don't like this price action. And I don't know, I prefer to hold Hecla, for example, which I still don't. I've got half a position in Hecla, and I just maybe trim a third of First Majestic, throw into Hecla, or just 10% and do it with some others. Something I got to calculate. But First Majestic, my reflex is just to trim because I just don't see the strength. Fortuna. Now, for me, Fortuna, another one that had bad news, gap down, and I expect some resistance on the way up. So far, we did have a nice move off the bottom, but you can see this hesitancy to take out this 540. Yes, we ventured above it, but we didn't close above it. So for me, 540 or 537 rather is a resistance, and we need to close above that. Now, if silver starts to break, if gold makes new highs, silver will obviously follow. Fortuna will be up like 7.8% instantly pre-market. And then then it will definitely close the gap. It will have some good days if silver runs, but you know, for sure, I will not forget this weakness. And if something like that was to happen, I would probably sell into the gap and the next horizontal. Basically, the horizontals you see. I'm not going to sell 540 because I've already trimmed that. But the next one, I don't know, 84, 579. I don't know which one. Depends what's happening in silver or the miners or both. But I'll probably be trimming as we get close to this window. And I can't really believe a scenario where we get all the way up here unless silver's really running. I'll probably trim this also, just below 634, 629. It doesn't really matter. But it has made a nice move, so at least it's done that already. Right, next one, Coeur d'Alene. This one's done wonderful things for some time. Now, silver was down, right? On Friday, but still Curl just managed to sort of go sideways. It's down 1.5%, but that's constructive, healthy, and I'm going to say bullish. Going sideways. Let's wait for gold to go up, silver to go up, and then bam. I do think this will get to 750. That's the next level. 750. I mean, a $7 sell. I may trim a tiny bit at 7 because it's just constantly worth so much money. And I need to make sure it's never worth too much. It's a good thing, obviously. It means I'm making good money out of it. But I know that if we have this reversal, which I don't anticipate anytime soon, any, change into bearishness, I don't see that happening. But still, I need to consider just risk management point of view. I don't want too much in one stock. And Curl is worth almost as much as these seniors, and it's not supposed to be worth. It's supposed to be worth about just more than half, but it's worth pretty much the same amount. So I'm just not comfortable with that, and it's time to put a lot more cash on the sidelines to confirm, to guarantee, because my portfolio is at the highest it's ever been. I think for you guys it should be the same or similar, like almost highs. But for me, it's new all-time highs. I've never seen this much money in my account, and I just want to confirm it. When you sell, you kind of confirm it, because then I want to get to that point where I feel invincible. And by that I mean, if the market goes down, amazing. I have so much on the sidelines. I just sold so much, like amazing. This is what I want. I can buy back. So I'm happy if it goes down. But I also want it so that if it goes up, even though I've got lots on the sidelines, I still have enough in it so that I'm making good money, like a couple thousand. That's a nice day. If the miners are up, let's say 4, 5, 6%, you're making a couple thousand. That's beautiful. I wouldn't want it so that they're up 4, 5, 6, 7%. GDX is up 5%, and I've only made like 1,000 or a couple of hundred. That would be like, oh my God, I sold way too much. So I need to feel the sort of both. I need to be able to be happy in both scenarios. And I feel like at the moment I got too much in to be happy in case it drops. So CDE is definitely one of the ones that I'll trim, but I think it's going to 750. $7 might be a first trim, but 750 will be the first real. I mean, it'll be a heavier trim because after that, we venture in a whole different area, and it'll still be worth a lot by the time it gets up there anyway, even after my sales. Support, I'm not going to talk about, otherwise it's as usual, the old horizontals. I don't see anything here. Ascending would be ridiculous. It's so steep. Actually, this one works. This ascending, I'll leave it in, but essentially it will just happen to coincide with the horizontal, I reckon. All right, next one is Hecla. Beautiful thing, Hecla. I did buy, where did I buy Hecla? I think I bought it in the 5s or the 480s also. I don't know. But anyway, somewhere down here, the lows. And since then, bam, all the way at 6. Beautiful. It's been quite strong, actually. Relative to other silver stocks, it's been pretty strong. These are beautiful gap ups and just runs. Next stop is the old high of 6, just below 630. Let's call it 625. I would normally trim this, but I have half a position. I thought, well, I bought half a position, and just in case there's another drop, I was going to have another half position. That would have ruined the chart, a bit like First Majestic, lower lows, but it was just in case. But as usual, it reversed, it went up, and now I'm just stuck with half position. So I'm not going to trim this. I'm just going to hold it long term. But what I would want to trim in Hecla, I'll trim elsewhere, like CDE and like or EXK. Why not I jump to EX? Well, actually, Hecla, let me just follow. Next stop is here. We can get there very quickly, maybe even today, like Monday, 625. After that, what do we have after that? Well, these aren't resistance. This isn't resistance. This 660, not really. 7, big round number, old high. 680 maybe, you'll have to see, but $7. Let's zoom out, see what there is. And then we've got 740, and then we've got 770. Yeah, I agree with everything here. Even this might not be a level. There's a gap. Well, yeah, after 625, it's 7. So I don't even envision a sell at 7. So unless it's company specific and Hector just squeezes up ridiculously, then I might just say, okay, sell the whole position, buy another silver stock. We can get more out of another stock at this point because it's gone up too much. But I don't see that happening. EXK, talking about stocks that squeeze independent from others. EXK had like a 16% day on this, was it Wednesday? Kept going Thursday, Friday holding. Looks like it's getting a bit heavy, but we know what the others have done on Thursdays and Fridays. They also had similar sort of candles, so maybe it can go up more. I'm not surprised it leveled off a bit because this is an extraordinary squeeze and it's been squeezing since 140. And here we are basically testing 5. Absolutely incredible. But for me, except the old high on Thursday and Friday of 480, let's say 5, the next stop, 570, 580, just below 580, 570. So I just don't see any real resistance. I'm looking at the old highs here. This is the last time anything was trading there. What have we got? We've got a high there, 520. Yeah, the 20-cent level usually is after you take out a unit. Honestly, I just see 570 to 580, the old highs. So I'd probably trim 569, 568, which is far away from where we are. But this one's worth a lot, and it was never worth that much, especially down here. But it's just worth. It's one of the heaviest holdings I have, well, in the silver world. So again, I might trim some of this one because it's worth quite a lot, and I need to trim all of them. So this one has gone pretty vertical. I don't see why that would escape the selling, especially if I can't sell Hecla because I just don't have enough. So EXK, no, first Majestic, don't have enough. EXK, CDE, maybe Fortuna if it enters the window. Yeah, anyway, 486 and then 570. Mag Silver. It's time to make new highs. So this one, I see a little resistance. Well, you know what? Let's say last week's high will be the resistance. 1370, let's say 1370. It closed above 1370. We should run to the old highs, that being about 1430. And after that, boom, we're testing 16. And after that, we're testing 17. So there you go. Pretty simple, all horizontal. There's no descending. We've taken out the descending some time ago. There's no ascending. Actually, it looks like there is. That'll be support, but I think we're done with support. Something like that. This I'll get rid of. That's long been done. I have to keep it to a minimum with all the lines. This one's irrelevant. So yeah, there you go. Old high 1370. After that, 1430, and after that, the bigger round numbers, 1670, 17. So, but Mag Silver looks good. It bounced really nicely, and it's had good news kind of recently. So I don't see why it can't make, these old highs and go a bit higher. All right, next one is this mining. Beautiful thing, came down off bad news, actually came down here and then went to new highs, then came down with the whole sector, then rallied really fast, closed at the high of day, didn't take out the high of week, but still we already made a new high at 460. I don't see why this one will not go to 480. It's all about 480, especially gold and silver make new highs. 480, we close above 480. I really think we go up fast, and I'm not sure where resistance is. I do see 660. I know that it's going to stop off somewhere on the way, because otherwise it's a ridiculous move from 480 to 660. That's almost 40%. And that's after making crazy vertical moves already with the sector. But I'd have to wait for silver, gold, and the miners just to carve out their own charts will help determine where Aris Mining should, encounter resistance before we get to 660. But Aris looks really good, and it's looked good for a while. Even after this bad news, that bounce was really good. Gold into the gap. We are stronger than Fortuna, although that was obvious a few days before. So we've already closed above 420 just. Next stop is the close of the gap, 445, let's say. 444 is probably resistance. Let's be honest, if you go there, although that should be resistance, it's not far until you're at the old highs. I trimmed IAMGOLD here at 419 because of the weakness, the bad news. It's normal. And it's worth a lot. You know, it's worth like over 4K for me. That's, you know, these mines at the end that I follow, that I'm following, like IAMGOLD, Aris Mining, B2Gold, Equinox, they're all like 4K basically, because I mean, I might as well tell you. So the senior ones at the top, it changes, right? Like I have 3 modes. I have light. If I want things to be light, it means I feel like we're going to go down, but I still want to hold mines because long term, I feel like they belong higher, like long term, several years from now. But sometimes if I know it's going to go down or I feel it's going to go down, I put them as light holdings, so I just trim them a lot. But and then I have medium where I'm not really sure. I feel like it could go higher, but I'm not sure. And then I have heavy where I want to be in heavy, you know. I don't want to say all in because I always have a lot on the sidelines. But at the moment, as I've said already, I'm really, really heavy and I don't have much on the sidelines. That's why I want to trim. But these IAMGOLD, B2Gold, always worth 4K. The silvers are supposed to be worth 4, but honestly, they're worth a bit more. The CDE is almost worth 6. And these seniors at the top, well, the royalties are worth 5 to 6, and the seniors at the top sort of 5 or 6, they're worth between 6 and 7. It's just too much. It should be way less. Way less. But anyway, IAMGOLD trimmed already. If it keeps going up here, gap fill 444. I was going to think about 439 just in case. I'll probably stick to 444, trim again. If it goes all the way up here, trim again. And then I just want it to be below 4 because as it's going up, the value is increasing. I want it to be worth less than 4K as I go to 460. So that if we break out, well, good, I still have a lot in it, but it's not worth more than 4K because I don't think it will easily break out, you know, because of the bad news it's had and the resistance it should encounter. So those horizontal levels are what I see. After 460, what have we got? Nothing until 535. Yeah, that would do it. Okay, B2Gold. There you go, boys. It was obvious that the bias was to the upside. For me, it was also obvious that we were in a tight pennant and was going to break. And I did say the bias is clearly to the upside. It's done it, so that's nice. And it looks really good, you know. It's like new high on Friday, closed the high of day, took out. Remember, I said you take out the descending, beautiful. Next stop, sometimes just as important, the next horizontal, which it's done. And this happens to be a psychological number. So next stop now, 340. And I mean 340. I don't mean like, oh, we're going to touch this 307, come back down, and then maybe this will be resistant 317. Or wow, look at all these candles stalling at 330. No, I mean 340. End of discussion. Of course, it's not going to do it in one go. It will hit these little levels maybe intraday or interday. But I do think 340 is clearly the next level. And by the time we get there, imagine it takes a few days. Well, then we're testing this even more longer term descending. And I think B2Gold has what it takes to take out the next descending. So I'm holding. I'm not selling this. If we get to 340, maybe out of respect for general principles, I might just trim a little bit, but it'll probably be still worth more than 4K, the minimum amount. Well, I think I will assign 4K as a minimum amount for B2Gold. I might make an exception for B2. Or maybe not, I shouldn't. But anyway, it'll still be worth a lot up here, and I'm looking for that extra breakout. So B2Gold, upwards and onwards, beautiful candles, beautiful charts, really strong chart pattern. You know, the descending breakout above the horizontal took out the last high, better than this close. Looks really, really good. Equinox, I'm a big fan of this one. Nice and strong in the 520s or below, which is where I bought it, I believe. took out 590, the all-important 590, retested 590, prior resistance becomes support. Best close ever, if you know what I mean by ever. Next stop, 650. I don't see anything wrong with that. Sibanye, yeah, I'm just leaving it. This box, until it breaks, I'm not even going to cover it. It's a wild stock, and it can just go either way depending on platinum, palladium, gold, silver, other metals. Here it's middle of the range, maybe a bit on the lower side. Until it breaks, I won't really cover it in too much detail. Okay, I'm doing all of it. Eldorado, wow, look at that, closing above 1650. I think that's quite significant. It's not the real high. The real high is up here, 1670. I should have been more accurate, but there you go. Let's close above and also from here. So it makes sense. Close above that 1670, and then you can run to, what is it, 19 or something? Should know by heart this one. 19, just below 19, basically. I mean, yeah, I could stop off at 1820, but this has really been strong, and it hasn't made new highs like the others, but still, it's gone up higher highs, higher lows overall for a long time, and still very, very strong. Maybe one day below, 1 or 2 days behind these other stronger stocks, but otherwise very strong chart pattern. So increase in metal prices, this thing should start marching towards $19. Kinross, wow, that's so damn good. That's really strong. I don't own it. Wow, that's a senior that's really made up for a lot of the lows. It's beautiful. So what did we do? We touched 930-ish. Did I get lucky, or did I draw that in after? Well, either way, here we had 9, okay. We retested 9 on the open. Touched 930 perfectly. What's next after 930? 10 psychological number, but really 1030. I mean, that will really be a vertical move. Kinross, amazing. Really impressive. Just trying to wonder how much it's done in percentage terms. But anyway, yeah, so 10, if it takes out obviously Friday's high, 10, 1030. And then you get to 1030, I'm sorry, but I think you're going to retrace a bit no matter what's going on. But it has room to run more. Wow, I might have to start zooming out and covering some of these other levels. 1114 looks like a bit of a level, probably 1120. It's usually 1120. Okay, we'll cover that another time. Very, very impressive. I don't know if you guys own Kinross, but that's really impressive. Gold Fields is hitting a bit of local resistance, nowhere near its old highs. It did have some bad news, but it did bounce quite well. But here, 1630-ish, bit of resistance. I think around this area, 17, yeah, that might be a bit of resistance. You can see all the tails here, plus it's a round number. Then I've got 18, makes sense. It's the next round number, plus it's had some resistance. And then the old highs at 19, big round numbers. So gold feels underperforming. Had a nice bounce, actually, to be fair, kind of average along with the others, I guess. But yeah, 20%. Novagold, is this the next B2 Gold? Look at B2 Gold. Or is B2 Gold the next Novagold? I don't know. They're kind of similar charts. That's the point. That little pennant, they look so, so similar. And look, it's taken out the descending. It's all about the horizontal at 420. Again, 20 cents. That is probably worth buying. And although it feels like you're chasing because it's at 420 instead of the lows at 2, well, they've all done a move like that off the lows. Like Novagold all the way to here, 80%. Sounds like you're missing the train. But if I click on anything, okay, not this one. That's a cheat because this one's gone up a lot. Let's just do Equinox, right off the lows. It depends where you're taking it from. Okay, similar. Anyway, this one looks really good. And I think you know why. The pennant, the breakout, the bias, the upside is closed beyond the descending. And now you got the 420 horizontal, which could actually crack Monday. And then where do we run? You take this out, shorts cover, the ones that have been short for ages. Next stop 450, the high of here, before we flush down there. So I think 450 counts for something. Is that right? Something like this? Yeah, 460 maybe. And then you run, I don't know where you run to, 550. This could really squeeze 650 and still looks, yeah, Novagold looks good, guys. I don't know if you guys own it. I hardly hear anyone ever talk about it, but this chart looks really good, a bit like B2Gold. Harmony, this one's outperformed for ages, but here a little weaker than others. $10 is a bit of a, I don't know if it's psychological, but it's resistance. Not the best close there on Friday either. Not the best chart. I mean, it's a decent chart, but not the best close. This probably needs 1 or 2 days to then close above 1030 before it can keep running to new highs. But this has done massive moves, a bit like Kinross, this one. But it looks good. It looks still good. Again, that Friday candle, not great. Thursday was okay, but Friday ruined it. Closed at low day. Huh. Be interesting to see how that reacts for the rest of the week. Anglogold, that's good. That's good. Close a high of day. Next stop is this 30 zone. Make sure you close above 30, 30. And then you can run to a massive descending resistance, which by then will be 33-ish. And then next stop after, remember, after you take out the descending, it's always the next horizontal. As long as you know where that is, I think it'd be here, 38. That's what I'd be looking at Anglogold. Okay, look, that'll do. It's a long video. Sorry about that. There's no way for me to really go through it too quickly. That rant at the beginning. Sorry about it. And I went through all the stocks. So let me know what you think. And just before I sign off, it's time to look at gold. And it's not reacting at all to a potential assassination attempt. That's very interesting. Or does it move later? All right. Enjoy. And I hope you found that of use. Thank you.